Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the most recent winner in Indy NXT at Mid-Ohio. Of course, that's Louis Foster of Andretti Autosport. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just obviously looking forward to the next race at Iowa.
Of course, Indy NXT will not be in Toronto. They will be, however, they will be racing in the remaining races that along with IndyCar the rest of the season. So of course, getting the big win at Mid-Ohio, of course, a track that the thing is, it's I know you came to racing last season, racing in IndyCar. What's it like to get used to a lot of these tracks? Because Mid-Ohio, I believe that's the second time you've ever raced there.
Yeah, obviously racing in America, second year. So, every track I've gone to last year was brand new, and this year, majority of the tracks I obviously raced at last year, but there's a few that I haven't raced at. But Mid-Ohio is one of them that I raced last year. So, yeah, had some experience from previous year, had a successful year last year in Indy Pro 2000. Um, But yeah, I mean, I was pretty confident going into the weekend. Andretti tend to have quite a solid car at Mid-Ohio historically. So yeah, I mean, it was like most weekends kind of turned up and just saw what we could do, really.
Yeah. I know you've had a pretty good season. I know you've had some solid results, but that was actually also your first win of the season, was also the team's first win of the season as well. What has it been like this year?
Yeah, I think this year, personally, for myself, we've been plagued with a lot of bad luck.
Yeah.
I think as a team as a whole, we've had our issues, sometimes failed to, capitalize on points where we should have got them. An obvious one to look at is Detroit, sorry. Um, But, I think for myself, there's been, a few mistakes on my behalf, especially in round one. And then, it's just some unlucky issues we've had throughout the season in Barber and Detroit, etc. Anytime that I finished a race, I pretty much always finished on the podium. Obviously, Road America was the only one where I hadn't. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been very up and down, but the qualifying performance has been, head and shoulders above the rest of the drivers. So that's something we can take away and be positive on. We just need to be able to, hopefully get rid of this spell of bad luck, which I think hopefully we have, but we'll just see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah. So of course, with Indy NXT being off this week, you are in the UK right now as we speak. So what's it like to go home and see some friends and family, and how are you spending this off time?
Yeah, so obviously I don't get to go home too often. Usually just for the holidays, like Christmas and stuff like that. But it's been super nice to come home. Went to the British Grand Prix, had some activities there with the BRDC Superstars. Just weekend just gone by, so that was really really nice to go and do and see. Some driver friends that I used to race against, and some of my friends in F2 and F3. And just support the British side of motorsport, which I don't get to do very often since I'm in America now. But no, it's been fun. It's been relaxing. Obviously, keeping up the training and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, no, really enjoying my time back.
You haven't been in America that long, and when we first had you on, you actually the city that you currently live in, one of the biggest cities in America, Los Angeles. Of course, not too long. Of course, you're going to be making the move to the hubbub in Indianapolis. What is it like living as someone that I've always been interested in this? When you first came to America, you picked Los Angeles. What was it like to just live in the big city and just experience the American culture when you first got here?
Yeah, so it's the culture between the UK and the US isn't massively different, which I think makes it quite easy for British drivers to come across and live here. It's not a huge culture shock, especially on the coasts. Obviously, East and West Coast tend to be a bit more international. There tends to be a lot of people from around the world who live there. Whereas, when you get into, the Midwest, your Indianapolis, kind of areas, it's a lot more, American. So I think it's a bigger culture shock when you go to those kind of areas where we race, Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Wisconsin, stuff like that. But no, it's really great. The fans are amazing, and it's really, really enjoyable. And then living in Los Angeles, it's obviously a very, very big city. I'm used to, well, from where I live in the UK, it's extremely rural. so there isn't very much to do. Whereas now, obviously, living in a big city, there is almost too much to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be distracting at times, but as long as you got a good head on your shoulders, you can always stay focused and get the work done.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're going to be moving to Indy in the end of the year, but have you gone? Well, there's one thing you need to do. Have you gone to Dodger Stadium? Have you gone and seen Shohei Ohtani yet? Because if you haven't, you need to do it if you have the time.
Yeah, I've seen the Dodger Stadium. I went there. I've been there a few times, not to the actual stadium, but around the area and saw
Right,
it
right.
at night time. It's massive. But yeah, I'm not a massive baseball fan, to be honest. I've watched some baseball games, but yeah, it's just not a sport that I don't know. I just don't really understand it properly, so I don't really enjoy it as much. I
Okay.
think the main sport that I enjoy in America, the sports that I enjoy the most to watch, is basketball and football.
Okay. Have you
Those are
been to
my
a
two
Laker
favorite,
game?
I would say.
Have you been to a
Yeah,
Laker?
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been to a Lakers game. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. One more non-racing related question, and then we'll preview Iowa in a few weeks. How do you like Threads?
Um. Yeah. I mean, it's all right. It's like just like a clone of Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to use it, but I'm not particularly good with social media, to be honest. So I'm trying, but I don't really know what to post, so I just kind of ramble thoughts. But anyway, no, it's cool. I mean, obviously, it's a new social media we can all waste away our time with, so can't complain really.
Yeah, I've played around with it while I was covering the Mid Ohio weekend for NASCAR last week. So it's interesting. Obviously, some things that they can obviously improve on. I mean, it's not even a week old, so and it's getting pretty popular. So, what by the way, where can they follow you on Threads if people are interested in doing that?
Oh, I think it's probably just the same as my Instagram. I think probably
Yes.
just Louis Foster. I think if you search that up, it should come up.
Yeah. You can have the same name as your Instagram. And by the way, mine is Casey Campbell Sports for people that want to do that. All right, enough with the non-related racing questions. Let's get to previewing Iowa next week. A track that you have not been to. You haven't had a lot of oval experience. I know you raced at IRP last year, but what is this place like at Iowa? What are your first impressions of the place?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we did a 1 day test there a few weeks ago. Super fast, super interesting. I think it should be a good weekend. But I mean, at the end of the day, just looking forward to seeing what we can do. Again, same as always, approach it with the same approach as always, and just try and figure out to get the car in the balance and figure out what we want to do with the car and whatnot, and then see where we end up. I mean, there's nothing really special to do about it. I will obviously need a bit more prep for this one, so I've been doing some prep on the simulator, trying to get a little bit more tuned into the oval racing again. Obviously, I haven't done an oval since August last year, so nearly a year since I've done an oval. So need to hopefully can hit the ground running, but we'll wait and see.
I forgot what was then Indy Pro 2000, of course now USF Pro 2000, also raced at WWT Raceway, of course also known as Gateway, which you'll be also racing at later in the year. So two more ovals to come across, but a lot of the tracks that next two tracks I believe you have not raced at Iowa and of course Nashville. So what's it going to be like? And obviously you've raced street courses before, but what is it getting used to a new course like that? I mean, I know you hadn't raced Detroit until this year, but what's it like always going to either a new new street course or road course or a new oval?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to do a lot more prep than the other drivers, I would say. The key in motorsport is to go into practice one as prepared as possible, and hit the ground running really. So yeah, I mean, do as much prep as possible for Nashville. I think probably about half the grid's probably driven there before, maybe a bit less than half the grid. So, but I tend to get on well with street courses. My record for street courses this year is 100% for pole. So hopefully we can continue that. We'll wait and see. But yeah, again, no change of approach, just same as always, and just see what happens.
For sure. What's it gonna take to get a good run in Iowa?
I think we just gotta got to be able to dial in the car quickly. It was quite a tricky test for us as a team trying to figure out the setup with the new tires, and Firestone are also bringing a harder compound this time from the test. So we're on a different compound from what we drove on the test. So it's going to be even more difficult to try and get the car on the window. But yeah, then it's just going to be trying to work together as a team to try and get the car we need it to have the pace in the race and in qualifying. So yeah.
For sure. All right, Louis Foster, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us, and enjoy the week off, and best of luck at Iowa next week.
Thank you.